From our studios here in Accra and around the world, welcome to the Monday's edition of the Pulse here on Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Now this afternoon is another year and another Easter season upon us. How safe will our roads be as we prepare for the big feast? This afternoon we bring up our Drive Safe campaign and notch higher as we partner with the National Road Safety Authority and the MTTD to keep our roads safe. Also coming up this afternoon on the Pulse, ask those who want it to bring it. That's the response of the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Prempe, to Ghanaians calling for the ECG to release a load-shedding timetable amidst the insensible power cuts.
Ask those who want it to bring it.
They should bring the timetable.
If there is, I haven't seen any timetable. So
what people are calling for it.
Say bring a timetable. What do you?
We have details as he assures Ghana is not returning to the dark days of dumsor. And later, we put a spotlight on our Filth exhibition. And the Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Zigilu, affordable, safe sanitation for all. We are live on channel 421 on DSTV, Go TV 125. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and myjoyonline.com for these and more. Welcome back to the Pulse here on Joy News, and we are starting with energy because it is becoming a very important matter in the country. But there's a response this afternoon coming from the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Prempe, and it's a simple reasoning. Ask those who want it to bring it. That's the shocking response of the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Prempe, to Ghanaians calling for the ECG to release a load-shedding timetable and amidst the incessant power cuts. Various areas across the country have been experiencing interruption in electricity supply in the past weeks, prompting citizens to demand a release of a load-shedding timetable. We'll hear from the Energy Minister shortly. But first, let's listen to some small businesses unhappy with the power situation in the country.
Yeah, it will help. It will help better than not knowing anything. You get up and come without electricity. At least you know Monday they will not be given light from 6 to 12 o'clock. I will not be out. I will be in my house, knowing how to deal with my issues. After 12 o'clock, then I can come out and then do whatever I can do. Because without electricity is nothing. We cannot do anything. So if they will do the settlement of that time, it will help us. 9 to 10, 1 hour there is no light. At least it's better than knowing nothing. You just wake up in the morning, you come, there's no electricity.
Well, the timetable like it will help. But yeah, these people need light because anytime the light off they worry. So if they give us small time, like some 2-3 hours for the day, like it will be for the boys.
We have to have a timetable for the lights off so that we will know that maybe from 1, or maybe in the morning 6 to 6 in the evening, you are having light or not. That would be good for us.
How is it going to be good for you?
Because if you know the timetable, you know how to settle your time and you know how to do your things.
And how is the dumsor generally affecting you?
It's affecting us because by the fuel is too costly. So using fuel on the generator is so highly costly. So it's affect our business.
But the Energy Minister says the demand for a load-shedding timetable is equivalent to wishing evil for the country. He assures Ghana is not returning to the dark days of dumsor.
Energy sector, the current power cuts. Some people are saying that you made mention of this. You use this as a campaign against John Mahama, and now we are experiencing a worse situation under President Akufo-Addo. Would it reflect in the 2024 election? Would it be something that people will stand on to vote?
if you are comparing 4 years, MPP administration, energy sector is 300 times better than John Mahama.
But we are still experiencing dumsor.
Nobody has said we haven't. I'm just saying it's far much better than John Mahama ever did.
You do admit that there's dumsor.
That is the word you used. I have never used that word. I've promised you that we are going to work on it. And it's not a work that is a single event. It's a process. And we'll continue to work on it for the energy sector to become better.
Have you heard of calls for a timetable?
Ask those who want it to bring it.
They should bring the timetable.
If there is, I haven't seen any timetable. So when
People are calling for it.
say bring a timetable, what do you mean? The ECG says that there is no timetable coming. Why do you want to bring a timetable? What purpose? Why would somebody get up and wish evil or bad for the country? When it is not planned, you can't tell the person. Were you in Ghana under John Mahama? Did you live in this country under John Mahama? Did you live in this country under John Mahama? Did you? I'm asking you a question. Did you live in this?
It was equally worse.
It cannot be equally worse.
But look, MPP use it as a tool against them.
And I'm saying that even if you are talking about that, it was worse under John Mahama than ever now.
So are we really in a situation where there's a need for a load shedding timetable, or the situation is getting better and therefore there shouldn't be the need for such a timetable? Member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, Edward Barr, joins me with more, as you also have the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, John Ben Boache. But let me start with Mr. Edward Barr. Honorable, so, I mean, you heard the Energy Minister. He says there's no need for that because we are not in that situation. Do you share in his assessment of the situation?
Let me state it very clearly that the comments of the Minister for Energy is regrettable in that he seems not to be worried about what is happening. But it is important to also state very clearly that John Mahama never created them. What John Mahama did was to inherit many years of underinvestment. That started God knows when. And if you recall, and it's important to put this discussion within a particular context. If you recall, in 2006, 2007, we went through energy crisis. And the reason we went through energy crisis was because we did not have sufficient generation. You recall that was when the then Minister for Information was something Obushi, that woman, I've forgotten the name. The then Minister for Information went to Parliament and promised the whole country that dumsor will end on the 31st of September. Later did he know that 31st September didn't have 31st. If you recall that incident, right. It was the same incident that you had pastors go to Akosombo to go and pray for, for rain to fall for Akosombo to be working. There was no single investment done. The only thing that changed the situation was the fact that there were a number of, we had enough rains, and therefore Akosombo was overrun to be able to meet the deficit. So John Mahama met it. What did John Mahama do? John Mahama categorically accepted the challenges and said, look, even though all my predecessors may have met this thing and there would have been maybe under investment, when you inherit something, you inherit both the liabilities and then assets.
Right.
I will take responsibilities for the liabilities and fix it. He did it. Elton, I will tell you, and you have been around for some time. I have known you as a journalist who can go since your Kumasi days. I will state very clearly, ask the Ministry of Energy from 2017 to today, what is it that the energy sector, the energy ministry for that matter, that sector, under Akufo-Addo, a single thing that they have done to intervene to ensure that the lights have stayed on? It is just because of what was done in between 2013 and 2015 or 16 that led to the stability that we had. Indeed, when even the challenge, and that's the cause of this current challenge, when even we realized that there was a challenge in terms of the financial situation of the energy sector and introduced what we call the Energy Sector Levy Act, that was supposed to guarantee an inflow that for 5 years would have retired our debt that we were having, what we call the legacy debt, also put ECG under what we call the Compact 2 in the Millennium Development Challenge Program.
Right.
That will also improve on the efficiency of ECG. We simply never got it. All they did, they messed up the Compact 2. They decided to mortgage, what they call it, the receivables from the ESLA for 10 years. And what do we have? We have a debt that has quadrupled. We have an ECG that has been even more inefficient. And so today, the power sector is simply not solvent enough to be able to just meet operational costs. Therefore, we have this dumsor. So the question that you asked, your reporter asked him was simple. Would you want to put up a what do you call it?
A timetable.
A timetable to get it sorted. And I was disappointed in, look, Napo has been my friend for some time now. But I think that, or even on a personal grounds, I'll tell him that his response was simply disrespectful to Ghanaians. His response was so arrogant. His response felt that I can't be bothered. Because he knows if he gets to his house, he will have his genset going on. But what do you call it? Elton, ask yourself a very fundamental question. Now you have a lot of people. I always use the issues of medications because I know a friend who got himself involved in that. Assuming that you rely on a particular medication to just keep yourself alive, that medication has to be put in the fridge. You do not know when lights will go off. You put your medication in the fridge. What happens is that you go to work and come back, and because of a prolonged period of light off, the efficacy of the medication goes down, and therefore you cannot take that particular medication. What then happens? What happens is that you will have to now go and look for money to buy. Most of these medications are also imported, and so it is dollar rated. So if today you went to the drugstore and bought a medication for, say, 100 Ghana cedis, maybe tomorrow you may be buying for 200 Ghana because of the depreciation of the cedi. This is the practical experience people are going through. And all the Ghanaians are asking is that, look, whether you accept that there's dumsor or no dumsor, what kind of nomenclature you give to it, people are not worried about that. What people are saying is that, give me a timetable so that I know that between this period and this period, I will not have lice in my house. So if I do not have lice, and I may have to take my medications and go and put it in a friend's fridge so that it stays very efficacious, then I'll have I will have the ability to be able to do that. But if you don't do that, it becomes a problem. And now what is even more serious within the sector is that Gridco on daily basis gives what we call the supply output. It tells you that this is the amount of power we will have. Looking at your demand levels, you may need to shed load. So they tell ECG that. Because ECG, through their chief executive, has indicated to them that there's no dumsor. What he does is that when Gridco gives that instruction, they don't do it. They allow that everybody is put on. But Gridco is the system's controller. So they look at the system. When they see that the frequency is going beyond a particular level, they know that if they do not shed load immediately, what then happens is that people will, the system will collapse. And the system collapse, you have the whole country going off. And because you have the whole country going off, what then happens is that they want to prevent that. So they then look at an area that they can dump load. So immediately, if Gridco is forced to dump load, so they can just look at East Legon, that has a very large, or maybe Tema, that has a very large area for power. They dump it so that the system keeps alive and that the system will not have a total shutdown. And so ECG then comes the following day and issues a statement and says that, oh, the fault was not ours, it was Gridco. How can Gridco be so, Gridco cannot be irresponsible to wait till the whole country goes off. That's the security implication, just because ECG has to shed load. And the reason why ECG will not shed load is because they are the person who is heading there is a politician. Right. He is insisting that there's no load shedding, and because of that, he will not bring a load shedding program that will let Ghanaians follow. And that is so
right.
So disrespectful to
Mr. Barrow, let me come in here for a minute. I mean, in the last few weeks, we've been told that usually we share between 300 and 600 megawatts during peak hours, and that's the reason why we are unable to have reliable electricity supply. Between 300 and 600, should that be enough to put a large number of the populace into darkness? I mean, we have always been told that we have enough to sustain us. Why should 600 megawatts at peak hours result in this prolonged darkness?
So you see, that is the controversy. And that is the irony of what we have. You have a government that goes on for 7 years has indicated that we are having excess capacity. And therefore, we have, John Mahama created so much excess capacity to the extent that we cannot even use it, and that it is idle. Then you tell me that, oh, you are maintaining TAPCO, and then which one, that gives you a total of about 600. And that the total of 600 or 700 alone is enough to give you load shedding. That simply tells you that you have a group of people who speak from one mouth in a particular language, and in the other side of the mouth, they say something else. They are so hypocritical, they are not truthful to the system. I see they have run this particular sector, and this is just a microcosm of the bigger picture. They have run it based on PR rather than based on facts. And I'm saying that the truth of the matter, and you see, don't take me for my word.
Right.
Take PURC for its word. PURC's own orders that they have given to ECG is because of the fact that they've realized that the centrality of this problem is about cash flow.
In fact, we are coming to that. We are coming to that. That's the second leg of our conversation this afternoon. But I just want to exhaust the matter relating to energy minister and the way forward, and then to also ask you. I mean, you worked at the energy ministry before, venturing into parliament, and you actually served on the Mines and Energy Committee. Where we sit now, is the situation getting better, or I mean, we are actually getting into the worst part per the information that you have?
So for see, and Elton, that's true, and I'm happy that people like you were around. And I remember you, Elton, many times calling me to talk to me those days. That's why I said your days in Kumasi afternoon, calling me on issues like this. The first thing is this: let me state it without any shred of doubt that any government, whether it is the new another MPP government, and God forbid them, or it is John Mahama, or even any other government that is coming into power in 2025, will walk straight into power crisis. And I've indicated that for two reasons. The first reason is that the energy sector indebtedness is so frightening that even the IMF says that that sector is the single most dangerous sector that can crash this economy because of the level of debt. That's the first aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that because they were singing excess capacity, they have not added any generation into our mix. And so as we speak today, we have consumed almost all our capacity. And therefore, if we do not make serious attempts to add capacity to ourselves, to our current capacity that we have, we will run into a capacity deficit crisis. And Elton, to put up a 200 or 250 or 300 megawatts plant, you need between 24 and 36 months. And that's between 2 years and 3 years. So if you have not started putting up a plant today, don't expect the plant to come in 2025. Don't expect it to come in 2026. Indeed, the early power, the second phase of the early power that they are expecting, which was started by NDC anyway, that is supposed to come in 2027. It's supposed to bring us 350. And that is at 2027. We're in 2024.
Right.
So it tells you that between 2025, 2026, we must get power somewhere else. Or else, because of insufficient generation capacity and the indebtedness of the sector, these two things will create a situation where the next government will walk into a crisis.
All right.
That is the problem.
All right, Mr. Bauer, and we're also hearing that ECG has been a bit selective in the payment of money to some of these IPPs, and that's the reason why there is some kind of uneasiness among the players in the industry. And that's our second leg. And I just want you to hold it for a minute for me, because my colleague, Kojo Brace, joins me in studio. And the news this afternoon, Kojo, is that the ECG has less than, the time is now 3:19.
Yeah.
So the ECG has less than 3 hours to respond to the PURC.
Yeah.
You remember that the PURC gave some directives last week,
Yes.
some 3 orders. One is expiring today, the other one will be on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So walk us through what the ECG is expected to respond to the PURC today.
Okay. Now, we do know that, there were 2 orders and three, like you've stated. One is that ECG is to comply with the cash waterfall mechanism. You've tried to explain the cash waterfall mechanism. Right. That's how players in the industry are paid. So they are saying that we've seen some irregularities, comply with the mechanism so that we can flow. Now, order 2...
No, in fact, on the cash waterfall mechanism, they made it clear that, for example, in the case of Ghana Grid Company, ECG made 0 payments in October and November, and then for VRA, they made 0 payments from November to January 2024. These payments inconsistencies are a serious threat to the financial stability of the energy sector. Yesterday, when I had the PURC Director of Regional Operations, he made it clear that the reason why Gridco and VRA are unable to service some of their plans is a result of the non-payments of this money.
Exactly. So the PRC is ordering ECG to comply with the cash water flow mechanism and pay all tariff revenues as prescribed and allocated under the CWM to ensure, like you said, financial integrity of the sector.
And that is today. This directive expires today. And then there's also another order that will be expiring on Wednesday.
Exactly. Now, the 2 says ECG is hereby ordered under Section 243 to submit the following to the Commission. Now, 1, copies of all government directives to ECG for the purchase of fuel for power generation from August 2023 to date. Now, again, the total amount of fuel ECG procured for power generation from August 2023 to date, together with fuel supply contracts, invoices, details of fuel quantities, cost, date, and volumes delivered on all pertinent details. Details of all bank account and investment account currently operated by ECG, monthly bank and investment statement corresponding to each account showing balances for the period of August 2023. Now, another thing is detailed incident report of power outages. Remember, we are calling on the ECG to give us timetable, but they've also been saying that, what we are doing is as a result of maintenance. So PRC says that, okay, give us a detailed incident report of power outages for a period January 1, 2024 to date. B, the volume of load curtailed for each power outage incident, the energy not served and number of customers affected segregated into various customer categories. And C, copies of ECG publications informing the general public of power outage from January 1, 2024 to date.
And this is the second order.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, there's also a third order. Maybe the
third order will expire on April 2nd. But what I want to find out from the energy desk, whether ECG, in terms of the first one, whether there's been any development for the ECG on this matter.
No, we haven't heard from the ECG. ECG are still, going about ensuring that they do get the fact right before they can come and then tell us what exactly it is. But you are talking about a certain timeline. Now it says ECG should comply with Order 1 above today, 25th of March 2024. ECG should comply with Order 2.2D and Order 2.3E and Order 2.3F by close of day March 27, 2024.
That's Wednesday.
Yes. And then ECG shall comply with orders by close of day April 2, 2024. So after Wednesday, all the others by April 2, they have to be done with them.
All right. Thank you very much, Kojo Brace, from the energy desk, and it's unclear whether the ECG, they've complied with this matter. Let me go over to Mr. Edward Bauer, member of the Mines and Energy Committee. So, Honorable Bauer, the PURC, the directive is quite clear. Now, today is March 25. We are just some few hours away from the expiration of this order. The ECG is expected to pay VRA and Gridco, for example. We don't have any information whether any payment has gone. ECG, in explaining the reason why they were unable to meet the details of the cash waterfall mechanism, was because they had directive from the Ministry of Finance to use part of the money to procure fuel to, power the turbines to generate power. The reason why we had our lights on during that period. How do you respond to this directive? And how do you respond to this response that came from the ECG Managing Director?
First of all, let me state to you, I'll be very surprised if the ECG responds to the PURC. The reason is simple. The management led by lawyer Samuel Bibik Mahama, they don't give I want to use a very good word. They can't be bothered who gives them orders. They can't be bothered who gives them orders. The reason is simple. The reason is because sorry about that. I just have my son.
I understand it.
Yes. Can you go, please? Sorry about that. My apologies to your viewers. You have ECG because of the fact that, can you imagine that the government decides and says that, look, one, I want you, because the only way that will keep the whole sector solvent is the fact that we must have money going around. And the money going around is because even you, ECG, if I give you power, say 100 Ghana cedis, you are unable to account for the 100 Ghana cedis. And because you are not able to account for the 100 Ghana cedis, what then happens is that even what you are able to collect, put it in a common pot and let us all use. Now, the players within that who contribute in the value chain, that contribute to the power that you get in your house, I all complain that we are not getting our money. So the government then says, first, I want to know when you sell power, where the money goes to. So now from henceforth, make sure that you run only a single account. And so all the money should be put in a single account that we all know that it is account number this, and it is at this bank. You understand my point?
Right.
Then all of us can see how much money goes into that. You refuse the orders of the president. The Ministry of Energy contracts PricewaterhouseCoopers that look, go and audit and let's see how much money actually has gone into this and how much payments have been made. PricewaterhouseCoopers comes and ECG again refuse to give them data. That will help them do that. Because for an auditor to come into your organization, you must give the person the information. Then the person will then audit and see whether they fall lines with the laws and the directives that have been given by the particular sector. You refuse to do that. Indeed, even though the president said you should run a single account, you are not running 37 accounts. You are running 37 solid accounts. And so nobody knows how much money is actually coming into you. Now you create the impression and you tell everybody that if a government had asked you to procure fuel, had asked you to procure liquid fuel, fine. PURC is saying that. I don't doubt you. First and foremost, give me the communication, the directives, proof of the directives that the government said buy fuel. You understand my point?
Right.
Because this cannot be done over a palm bar. It will be an official letter that will be written to you saying that buy X amount of fuel. So show us evidence of that. 2. Now, even after that, show us the fuel contracts that you have had. Because usually with this, you engage companies to supply the fuel. And so show us the contracts that you have between you as ECG and the people, the suppliers. Show us that. Give us proof of the quantities that you bought. So that with all these factors, we'll be able to know how much you have spent in that. You know, because PURC, remember, approved the tariff.
Right.
And so they know the amount of money you would have been receiving at this particular period. Because the PURC does not only approve it, they also even take cognizance of the fact that you are losing some amount of money through losses. And they say that out of your losses, a portion of your losses, even we will let the consumers pay for it. And so they know any amount of money that should come to you. So they say, if you give us all this, then give us your bank accounts and all other data we have asked for. Then we will be able to sit down and make an assessment and see whether actually the amount of money you have spent in all these things that you say you spent, that it will, it balances between the expenditure and what you have done. That's the first part. Second part, you have announced to the whole country that you are replacing 630 transformers into the country. That is an investment. Indeed, as part of the proposals that every utility sends to the PURC, remember that the market that ECG runs is a regulated market, and therefore your tariffs are approved. And before your tariffs are approved, you send what we call, you send your proposal, tariff proposals to them. So ECG will send, VRA will send, Gridco will send, and whatever, and Netco will send. They will all send their tariff proposals to PURC. PURC will look, and in the proposals, there's a level, there's a portion for what we call investments. So you would have said that, look, this year I want to change 630 transformers to be able to improve on my efficiency. I get the point.
Right.
PURC will incorporate that into your tariff. And so they will say that, okay, if that is the case, we will make sure that your tariff will create an opportunity for you to get money to be able to purchase 630 transformers to be able to put there. So we want to see wherever you said you have put this 630 transformers.
The transformers.
Give us the GPS location. PURC has the capacity to be able to go and look at those. 2, in terms of your current transformers, give us the ratings. You see, the ratings of every transformer gives you the maximum amount of electricity it can consume without the temperature going above what is required.
Mr. Bawa, these questions that you are asking, this aspect of the directive that came from the PURC, the time for ECG to respond will expire on Wednesday. But I also do understand that the Mines and Energy Committee met with the management of ECG on some of these matters. And you were saying that you didn't get...
Brother, let me just cut you.
Yes.
If you go to my wall, I'll tell you that ECG refused to appear.
They didn't appear before the committee.
I said, on my wall, I said that just in line with how this government operates, ECG had the arrogance and the temerity to look in the face of Parliament and refuse to come.
And you did nothing about it.
Of arrogance.
And you did nothing about it.
We as a minority, we have made our case, but it just happened. If you recall, it was on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday we rose. So some of us have said that when we come back to Parliament, we are going to cite it for contempt. You see, you do not look in the face of the representatives of the people and say, to hell with you for all I care. And the reason is because, you see, usually they say when excuse my language, not to denigrate people who are visually impaired. But when you see somebody who is visually impaired saying that I will stone you, know that his leg is on the stone.
On something.
That's why he says he will stone me. Or else he cannot say he will stone me.
My final question will be...
For Mr. Mahama to do what he is doing, and when I use the Mahama, let me be very careful, it's not my presidential candidate, John Mahama. For the big Mahama to behave the way he is behaving, it's because he is backed by very powerful people. Because he is backed by everybody, anybody can go to hell for all he cares.
So therefore, my final question will be, ECG, PURC, all work for the sole shareholder, the government of the Republic of Ghana. So where do you see this ending?
Where I see this ending is that I don't know whether that's an end or not. We will continuously, you will call me again tomorrow afternoon, you call me tomorrow next again, and we'll be talking like this until the kingdom come. The reason is that unless you accept that there's a problem, you can never address it. Currently, ECG has not, through the government, or maybe the government through ECG, has decided to tell us there's no problem. And that for them, and that's what you could hear Napo say that. Those who are saying that there's dumsor, they should go and publish a load shedding,
timetable.
Schedule. So I am just telling you that if you ask me, that my guess is as good as yours. The simple thing is that we have a very irresponsible government who has also appointed a very indisciplined and to a very large extent disrespectful management led by the board chairman, Kelly Gajipo, and the chief executive, what's his name again? Dubik Mahama,
right,
who simply cannot care about what the consumer, the client who pays for the power, they can't care as to whatever, as long as every day they have all the things they need in life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Edward Bauer. Sorry for that. Edward Bauer is the member of the Mines and Energy Committee of Parliament, and we have been talking about the ECG matter. Now, let me just refresh your mind and to say that the PURC gave the Electricity Company of Ghana some directive and to meet certain demands. Now, the first demand is for the ECG to pay monies owed some beneficiaries under the cash waterfall mechanism, VRA and GRICO, for example, and that directive, the deadline expires today. It's unclear whether they've made due with that directive. And the second one is to provide certain information regarding ECG decision to procure fuel within a certain period and to give some details on the fuel procurement and utilization. That will expire on Wednesday, 27th of May. We'll keep an eye on this matter. This is the Pulse here on Joy News with me, Elton. But we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at the carnage on our roads. This is the Pulse here on Joy News. Now we're back on the show. Now let's talk about the carnage on our roads. It's another year and another Easter. This Friday is Easter Friday. It's going to be a very long weekend and another Easter season is upon us. How safe will our roads be as we prepare for the big feast? Already, there's been alarming rates of accident for the year, with nearly 370 known deaths from road crashes between just January and February alone. This afternoon, we escalated our Drive Safe campaign at Nash Higher as we partner the National Road Safety Authority and the MTTD to keep our roads safe, especially in the lead up to the festive season. Before we get into it, let's take a look at the numbers as we have put together for you. So what you're seeing is road crashes in just 2 months. It is just between January and February, 2,260. That's 2,260 road crashes in just 2 months between January and February. Now, persons who have died from the crashes, 369. You heard me right, 369. These are persons who've died from the road crashes. Now, vehicles involved, 3,910. Injuries, those who got injured during the process of the accident, 2,552. And pedestrians walking just by the road and got knocked down, we have 381. The most staggering of all of them is that 369 people have lost their lives between just January and February from road accident. And that to me is a concern. And in 2023, between same period, we had over 2,249 accidents. Those who got injured, 2,260, and then there's been an increase. So this is our show this afternoon. So what is going wrong and how do we fix it? Joining me in the studio is Henry Asumani from the Department for Public Investment Development at the National Road Safety Authority. Henry, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And of course, we also have Reverend Cyril Kraft, President, Accident Victim Support Foundation Ghana. And for our viewers at home, feel free to interact with us on our social media handles at Joy News TV. Tell us about how you feel if we could keep our roads safe, your solution and your recommendation. So, Reverend, you're also welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, Henry, January and February alone, 369 people have lost their lives through road accidents.
Yeah.
And this for me is staggering. It's worrying, and it's simply unacceptable.
Yes, it's very unacceptable. But first, I would like to greet our viewers and then welcome them to the show.
Right.
And I would also want to show our appreciation to multimedia for the Drive Safe campaign, which has heightened road safety awareness in Ghana. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you very much.
We like what you are doing.
So 360, what does it mean? Does it mean that the education is not going on well? We are not enforcing the rules and regulations on our roads, or we simply have indisciplined drivers who are applying our rules?
Okay, for a crash to happen, there are three things that have to come to play. That is the road user, the vehicle, and then the road, because this is a space that is shared. And normally when you have a shared space, we have a lot of conflicts. It is the management of the conflict that is not, if it's not managed well, then we have these accidents or crashes. And it is true that this year, within the first 2 months, it has surged up a little, because if you compare it to last year, the persons killed have gone up by about 11%. And this is very, very unacceptable. And this is where we always say, when it comes to safety, safety starts with you, the road user. Maybe out of the negligence of someone else, something may not go right on the road or the vehicle. But you, as the road user using the road, should be extra careful. Whether you are a driver, or you are a pedestrian, or you're a cyclist, or a motorcyclist, when you are using the road, you should be very careful, because anything that happens comes to you directly. So that's why we always, safety starts with you. I am not exonerating others,
right,
like our agencies who are supposed to give us better roads, like our agencies who are supposed to nurture good drivers and then also vehicles onto the road, like other agencies who are supposed to promote road safety education.
We'll come to that. We'll come to discuss what is going wrong and whether or not we are doing so much in terms of those whose job is to ensure safety on our roads. But let me pick, Reverend, your initial reaction to the numbers that we are seeing. And according to the National Road Safety Authority, there's been an 11% rise in fatalities between January and February, same period last year. And that, for me, it tells us that we are not winning the war.
Well, thank you very much, and a quick greetings to your viewers, yourself, and the commendation. I think you worked it right for the Drive Safe campaign. And I think it's contributing a lot. In a long way, I believe that it will reduce the accident? Well, for me, from where we sit, accident victim support, it is just not a palatable story at all, because those that die, number one, they are buried unbefittingly. Those that get injured are not given the proper treatment. The first aid is not there. We have something we call first aid and not last aid. But when you get involved in an accident like this and look at the escalation of the number of the injuries, it tells you that they would never be given the needed treatment. And to me, like he said, I don't think it's a good narrative. Only that we pray everybody will put hands on deck. All the players will put hand on deck, and then will help bring it down. I was in Kintampo, I came just yesterday. Over there, the accident happened. It's not from the Kintampo people, residents, but travelers.
From other countries.
Yes.
Just like Kumasi always comes on top,
exactly,
because it's a center.
Exactly. From
Bono to the north, to sometimes to Central West, they use Kumasi.
Exactly.
And when the accident happens in the region, they add it to the original tally.
Yes, so they are saying that I call Kintampo the World Trade Center of accident. But yesterday, they made me to know that it is not like that. It is not them, the residents or the Kintampo people, but the travelers. And there's a particular spot that the accident usually happens.
What is wrong with this spot?
Great. So the spot, and Kintampo is the middle belt of Ghana. So traveling from the north, when you get there, you are tired. So they are fatigued. Most of them started, sleeping. When they are traveling from the south, they get there, they are fatigued. And they also start sleeping. And then it happens. And Kintampo...
And always at the same spot.
At the same spot. So they are saying that two things. If they can have a mandatory rest stop at Kintampo, so that coming from wherever, the north and the south, when you get to Kintampo, it's mandated that you rest. And every passenger should understand that, so that they would have the necessary rejuvenation to continue. Secondly, they also requested for a trauma center, because they could save a lot of their lives. In fact, the MC, interacting with the MC over there, visiting the sports, they could save a lot of lives. The accident definitely will make it. We are not immune to accident. Definitely will happen. But then they can save a lot of life if they have the required infrastructure or
this morning we were told, when we're putting together this program, that the same Kintampo you are talking about, there's only one ambulance working as of now.
Good. We are even praying that we'll go back there and donate a motorcycle to them, because according to them, they could save a life when they get there, and they can bring the ambulance later. But there are other factors that other demands. They lack a lot of things, and one of them is what they said. Also, the trauma center. To a very large extent, they also need a dual carriage. Okay. But notable of them, they said if the drivers can be mandated to rest, because they have seen that just before you get to the waterfalls, the Dawa getting to the waterfalls, then inside the Mo into Kintampo. That's where the accident usually happen. Mm-hmm. If you escape these places, then you are entering into Jema. And from Jema, there is a place, I've forgotten the name. The moment you go over the ramp, there's a likelihood, if you are tired, you will crash.
Right. But again, if this has persisted for so long, and there has not been any workable solution to address it. I remember some time when Port Rasi used to be a major accident center. Mm. There was something was done to arrest it. We'll come to you. I'll come back to you because you work with accident victims. We'll look at how accident has impacted the lives of people that you work with and how they are living their lives going forward. But Henry, from the National Road Safety Authority's perspective, what do you consider to be the number one cause of this, unacceptable figures of 369 deaths between January and February?
Okay, thank you very much. When you look at the trend, you realize that speeding is the number one cause, because the speeds, high speeds create more severity when a crash happens. And then also, when your speeds are not high, you're able to control the situation even if you find yourself in a mess. But with speeding, you can't control it, and also when a crash happens, it's severe. And it is in line with this that the authority is running the speed campaign under our broader campaign, the Stay Alive campaign. So
I thought the MTTD's presence on some of our roads was to check some of these things.
Yes. So I'm coming to talk about the campaign.
Right.
So the campaign is not just being done by the National Road Safety Authority. We are doing it in collaboration with our stakeholders. So the MTTD is part of us. Even the DVLA and everybody is part of us. So what do? What we do is that now most of our messages is on speeding. And getting into the Easter, it will be on speeding and drink driving, because when it comes to festival times, we also record a lot of drink driving.
People still drink and drive.
Yes, please. It happens. So that is where the target is. And we will be with the police on the road. While police are doing the enforcement, we are doing the education. We are also going to intensify pre-trip inspections at the lorry terminals, such that drivers who are leaving the lorry terminals will not have taken alcohol before leaving the.
What about those who are doing the wawa on the roads? This small minivan, and they are traveling from Accra to Kumasi. Sometimes they go to Nkoko and say that we don't have enough passengers, so we are not continuing the journey. What about such people?
Such people will be encountered on the road. But there's a larger project that is coming that will weave them off. But if I want to expand on that one, we might not talk about Easter. But that is a project that we call Transport Ghana. I'm sure you'll give me another time to really come and expatiate on
my difficulty, and what I find is difficult to accept, is why would a driver who is, for example, driving a commercial vehicle, will take in alcohol, doing very well, the alcohol may impair your judgment on the road, and will still do such a thing. And then in his state of irresponsiveness, kill other people.
I think it is human nature that when they don't see the consequence, we don't adhere to rules. So when you get them to see the consequence, then they won't do that. And because most people have done it and have gotten away with it, they keep on doing it. But as I said, this is an enforcement regime that is coming to check drink driving and speeding. And it is something that as authorities, we have identified, and we are going to crash it head on. So
for example, any vehicle that moves from the bus terminal will check whether the driver is sober.
Yes.
What about drivers?
Not just sober. Mm-hmm. You will also check your last travel time, when you came in and when you are going out. Because you need to rest. You can't just come from Kumasi.
I know I mean, anybody who wants to cheat the system, for example, if a driver decides that he wants to drink whilst driving, you check as he's moving away from the bus terminal. I mean, there's no evidence of alcohol in the system. Okay. This same driver may have used a bottle disguised as water. For all you know, it's probably a petition. And then on the way, the passenger will think that the driver
drinking water.
But in actual fact, the person will be taking in alcohol.
And that is why I said on the road as well, the MTTD will be there. The first one is called a pre-trip inspection. So maybe you hadn't taken in anything at that stage. But when you're on the road as well, when you encounter the police, they would also check alcohol. They would check your speeds and every other thing. So on the road, if you have taken alcohol, then the police will step in.
And then what? And do what?
Yes, and you'll be arrested and prosecuted.
And the passengers will have to find another vehicle to continue with their journey?
Not just find. You see, that's when a vehicle moves from a station, the station is contacted, and either another driver is sent to continue the journey or another bus is brought in. And most of the times it happens. They bring in a bus. Some may say maybe the driver is encountered around in Nkoko by moving from Accra. These transport operators have the network of buses across, so they can call somebody from just in Nkoko to come and take over, or pick another bus from there to continue. So this is, and I would urge passengers to also bear with us when we are doing this. It is for their own safety. Because sometimes when this is going on, you find passengers rather begging for the driver because they are
in a hurry and they want to
continue their journey. They are begging for the drivers. But I always say that it is better for you to be late than to be called the late. So as a passenger, if you are going to be delayed, or even 1 hour, and you will get to Kumasi late, it is better than to get to Juaso and your family will be called that you are late. So as passengers, let us take our lives in our own hands. If the authorities are working and it is delaying you, know that it is for your safety. Apart from that, when the driver is also not driving well on the road and you encounter the authorities, inform them. We run a campaign called the Passenger Empowerment. Passengers, speak. As long as you sit in the bus, your life is in the driver's hands. When you board a vehicle, what you are telling the driver is that I am paying you to transport me safely to Kumasi. So if whatever he's doing on the road is unsafe, he's going against the contract between the two of you. Right. And you have the right to correct him. Right. But when you are correcting him, please do it in a manner, like a humane manner. Because sometimes you may not be angry, but as how I will put it across,
it may not come out well.
Yes.
I'll come back to you to talk about the effectiveness of these methods and the sustainability of it. Because I remember some time back, you introduced this reporter, strategy where somebody will be on a bus. That person will be reporting the conduct of the driver, unknown to the driver. And I think it ended after some few weeks.
No, it didn't end. It is still at play. Even we are moving from there using technology. We are employing technology for that.
All right.
Now, as I was talking about, when you brought in the Wawa, that project I would explain. You give me a time. That one, you give me like 1 hour to come and talk. That project, when it comes to play, every commercial driver will be monitored. And you are being monitored by the authorities, you are being monitored by your transport operator, and you are being monitored by your car owner, because they would all have access to whatever you are doing on the road.
All right.
It is coming in to prevent the accident from happening. So when we see that you are a driver who is speeding on the road, you would be stopped at a checkpoint, and then depending on what you are doing on the road, you may be arrested or you may be spoken to. You get it?
I get you. So, and then also deal with the collaboration between you and DVL, for example, in terms of the roadworthiness of some of the vehicles we find on our streets. But, Reverend, I'm more interested, you work with accident victims. The impact that accidents have had on their lives and how that has resulted in their economic circumstances. Walk us through some of these individuals.
Thank you very much. In fact, this is where I just received a text from my Bishop General, Evangelist Kofi Champon, who came to do a crusade here recently and saw the work that I'm doing. And he said that, look, you have to highlight these serious points. And today I want to be very passionate a bit. I think it's about 4 years ago we first came here when the Dawa, the first time we had crash victims who got bent beyond recognition.
Right.
As we talk now, their gravesite was never befitting. It was almost getting lost. For the past 4 years, I've been working very hard to have the place safe enough, because there are family who would come and ask one day, where would their family or beloved ones be? Where are they buried? In fact, we brought one of them for the National All Drivers Prayer and Road Safety Summit, and the impact. For 4 years, this girl has never had a birthday before, because she was talking with the mother when she was traveling. All she heard was, "Hey, Ajay," and that was it. You can the impact. Think about it. So the past 4 years, I have been doing this, the psychological, encounter, the psychiatric, and they almost got, and that's the impact, the trauma effect. They stay with it, and we have to keep them through. When they came to the scene and saw where their mother was buried, it was glorious, even though the tearing was too much, which touched our hearts. We also have to make sure that these people who have been left wandering, make sure that they have some kind of livelihood so they can continue with it. And this is the impact that road crashes have on families and even some victims. Some of the victims, I was just showing the picture to your producer. Take it from me. When I show it to you now, you might not continue. Yeah. They have to stay with this car for the rest of their life. Now, this is where the injustice comes in. Most of crash victims who survived have received, or injustice have been meted on them.
Explain further.
Thank you. So now,
and very soon I'll bring in Shirley Hazel Ferguson, Project Manager for Law and Development Associate Institute. She is concerned about the safety of children on our road. Shirley, good afternoon. Welcome to the pause.
Good afternoon, all team, and thank you for having me.
Right, and it's good to have you.
It's good to see Henry and Rev on the show.
So I'll let Rev finish on the injustice aspect, and I'll come to you.
Very well.
So my senior colleague here reiterated the social contract. I never had a contract for you to go and kill me, or for you to have me injured, or for you to abruptly, cut the journey. But I paid that. You get me, you drive me safe to my destination. You let me stay alive to continue to use the transport. Here the case, there is an accident. And you left me in limbo, just being there. Look at the yearly injured victims that we have.
There are thousands.
Thousands. These victims, I can tell you that 90% have never gotten any claims, never been given any compensation. Most especially, I want to dwell on the last 5 years. The burn victims, and then that gory accident that got 2 accidents in one day. Over 100 people died in one day. The country, it was so catastrophic. I sat here, I used the same word, so gory. The whole country got talking about it. 5 years on, the families have never been given any compensation. And if you ask me, it's an injustice. It is criminal.
Have you pushed for it and nothing?
That is why I invited some of them to come and speak for themselves. That look, are we going to be in this where you travel and something happened and you have been left alone for years? And here's the case, there is an insurance expert. They will tell you after 3 years, your insurance claim is status bad. So if you cannot, for 3 years, cannot walk and you cannot go for it, then it means that you are in labor. And mind you, we have very less insurance education in this country. Now, I brought these people because there were 100 people. I can bring one of them. I brought some here when it happens. Up till today, nothing has been done to them. Up till today. On the 5th of March last year, we had 40 people in Kintampo died. They came for the program in Kintampo. Nothing has been done to them.
And last week, 20 died. And I'm sure you want to add it to
exactly. No. Now I'm getting, I will not say fed up, but I think that there's a limit to what I can take.
Right.
Here I said, accident victim support, we have no funding whatsoever from any government. It's individual. And then on this, I would thank Serene and then NIC for sending me back to Kintampo to have the program done. And today, something happened. One man, Kafui at DVLA, called me and he said, Rev, bring that accident victim for 3 years. She had metals in her leg. The metal should be removed in about 1 year. It is 3 years, 19 years old girl. Kafui said, bring the girl, I'm going to pay for the metal to be removed. Look at the relieved. The girl started crying for 3 years. So if we can, at least all of us can come to a consensus that when we have a lot of people crashing like that, let us see what we can do for them quickly.
I'll come to ask you whether there's a need for us to amend the law that governs this and see how best some of these things can be done. But let me now bring in Shirley. Shirley, so you've been listening to Reverend Cyril and, of course, Henry. I mean, the picture painted by Reverend Cyril is quite, it's not the best. I don't know what your initial reaction is before we get into the other matters.
Oh, of course. It's a very sad situation. I mean, about a week ago, I was told of the story of this young lady who was going to visit her mom at Makimoda, and the vehicle she was sitting in, a commercial vehicle, crashed with a truck carrying charcoal. So there was an explosion, and the fire hit her eye. As we speak right now, she's gone blind in one eye, and a young lady of about 29 who was doing her national service is now partially blind. So indeed, road safety, it's an issue, it's a multi-dimensional issue, and we need to really put in effort as multi-stakeholders to really address this carnage. I mean, we had some gains in the past years, so I believe road safety, National Road Safety Authority and its stakeholders, they are really doing a good job, and I hope they will get the necessary support together with the media and all other stakeholders so that we can continue to speak about these issues while we put in place measures. The road managers must really, be concerned about this and put in place measures to ensure that we do not have to go down these statistics. Rather, we should see an improvement in the situation.
More concerned about children. You think the state has left victims in such circumstances to their own fate? There's no state support to make their lives better from where you sit and what and the kind of work you do. And what can be done in this direction?
Well, I believe that there must be, it should be a concerted effort. There must be the roads, we should take care of the road users, we should take care of the roads infrastructure. At the same time, we should have post-crash, we should focus on post-crash as well. I believe that we need to prevent more than even we need to, how do I put it? The prevention is very key. And so if we're able to prevent and make sure that we don't even get to that point, then I think we will not have to waste so much money or resources on post-crash, issues of post-crash. But having said this, I know we are talking about Easter. Of course, it's already been said, we will be expecting issues of fatigue driving, we'll be expecting issues of drink driving and speeding. But I do hope also that we take a good look again at our street lighting and address the issue of street lighting for visibility at night, because that's also something that is become a major issue of discussion when you talk about road safety. And like you said, Elton, for us at Ladder Institute, our primary concern is with children.
Right.
Elton, it's 4 o'clock. Schools have closed. Parents have gone to pick their children. Let's take a ride on the streets of Accra. You would see that you will find unrestrained children more than you find restrained children. You would find children leaping about in the back of their parents' vehicle. You would find, in some instances, you would find parents or drivers holding children and driving.
Right.
I mean, these are behavioral. You know the irony of it all? The person driving is belted, has a seatbelt, but it hasn't occurred to him or her that I am protecting myself with the seatbelt. I need to protect the child as well. So
in fact, I see that a lot, and sometimes I ask myself whether it is for the fun of it, for people to see that you are driving a nice car or you have kids, because sometimes you see the kids standing in the vehicle, sometimes you see the kids sitting on the lap of the driver, and they are virtually playing in the vehicle. And you are amazed as to why a parent would put their children in such danger.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might not have even come across their mind that what they are doing. And even aside that, I don't know if you've noticed that you see some videos circulating where children fall off their vehicles, obviously because they haven't been restrained. Right. So I think it's something that we need to begin to discuss and bring people's mind to the point where they would appreciate that, okay, I think it's a behavioral change thing, first of all, and then there must be enforcement of the law as well. So we need to create that awareness. People need to know that there's a myth surrounding this whole thing about car seats, as though it is a luxury or it's something for the rich man. But then I think we need to reorient minds to that point where people will appreciate that using the seat belt or using a child restraint device, which we normally call the car seat, it's something that will save your child's life. We are not saying that it would avoid an accident. No, but we are saying that in the event of an accident, it's likely to absorb the crash impact. Okay, so even as we are advocating for, I mean, I like what Henry said, that safety on the roads begin with us, the individual. We might blame the government for not doing one or two things. Yeah, they have a role to play. We might blame enforcement authorities for not strictly enforcing the law. They have a role to play, but it must begin with we, road users. So if I have a child and I sit in my vehicle because of the seatbelt alarm, I buckle and I forget to buckle my child, then I'm not loving the child. I'm rather not taking his or her safety into heart. And I don't think that is love. So if we really want to say that we love our children, we want to protect them, we have that responsibility. And
I think we have lost Shirley there. We'll try and re-establish contact or connection with her. The audio is gone. I don't know what really is happening here, but Shirley Hazel Ferguson. I think, Shirley, you may have to, I don't know whether your hand touched something, but you have to unmute for me.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. So for you, what would be the way forward?
Well, I think that we need to intensify the public awareness, like I said. Beyond that, we have some laws that we must. I know that the regulation, the legislative instrument 2180, road traffic regulation is being worked on, is being reviewed. But then we have provisions that spell out what we have to do. For instance, our laws tell us that we don't, children under 5, you shouldn't place a child under 5 years in the front seat.
Yeah.
It also tells us that if a child between 5 to 19 is seated at the back and not belted, you commit an offense. So yes, we need to begin to enforce these laws that we have, even as we advocate that the laws are strengthened and tightened. At the same time, we need to continue with the education. The Public Affairs Director of National Road Safety Authority will tell you that education without enforcement is entertainment, which I really agree with. And so we need that they will have to go hand in hand, but we need to begin to talk and conscientize people to come to the point where they agree and know that indeed the safety of their child is in their hands.
Thank you very much for your time and your contribution to this discussion. Shirley Hazel Ferguson, Project Manager for Law, and of course, we are still discussing this matter here in the studio. Henry and Reverend Sarah are still here. So Henry, I mean, you've heard a lot. So let's look at the effectiveness of your proposed plan for this Easter and then hopefully beyond. But I'm also interested in the collaboration between the Commission and DVLA, where possibly from my point of view, I see cars that I can come to the conclusion they are not ready. In terms of moving forward, how are you going about this?
Okay, thank you very much. But just to correct you, now we are an authority, not a
right. Sorry about that.
Because we've been given some mandate.
That means more powers to do what you are mandated to do.
Yes, some mandate of enforcement has been attached to our mandate. Yes, this Easter, we all know when you say Easter, I'm sure Joy FM has a lot of programs. And you say, I hear it on Adom Kwewu, and you will be pulling people from all over Ghana,
the mountains,
all over Ghana to the mountains. And as we all go to the mountains, we go to make merry, and we go in a happy mood. We don't want to go and come back sad. We don't want to go with our friends and we return, our friends do not return, or we don't want to go and not return. So the focus for the Easter is actually on roads leading to Kwewu. And it is not that only roads leading to Kwewu, so other sections will be abandoned. It's just that it's being intensified on roads leading to Kwewu.
But let me ask, going back, do you always record accidents during Easter, especially in the Kwewu area?
We record, you see, the recording is not within the Kwewu area, because when you climb the top, you can't actually move your car. Sometimes when you go, if you go there, I know you park your vehicle and you literally walk. But it is the route, whether if you're moving from Accra through in Sanwo, in Koko, climbing. If you're moving from Kumasi through Koko, climbing. You get it? So those are the areas that we need to tackle. And most of the times, you see these young people drive all the way from Accra to Lindador, that is Bonsu Junction. Most of the time they are sober because they know it's a long. But when they get to Lindador,
but the fun starts from there.
Lindador and Paradise. When you get there, that is where the fun starts from, because you feel like, oh, I'm almost there, and that is where you get people those who drink start drinking, those who like speeding will start speeding from that section. So what we do is that we have stationed men on this route, and also at Lindador and then Paradise. From the other side too, we have station men when you are getting close to Nkoko, from Konongo through to Nkoko, we station men there, so that as you get closer, you encounter the National Security Authority, you encounter the DVLA, you encounter the police. And what are we doing? That we are doing both education and enforcement. As I said, education without enforcement is entertainment. So there are some people, I know there was this time that we had to detain a driver from driving to Kwewu on that day because he was drunk. Yeah. So they had to keep him till the following morning when he was sober before they left him to continue his journey. So those are some of the exercises that...
So that means we should respect arrest, if you like.
Yes.
Of those who may be violating the traffic regulations.
In extreme cases, yes, you'll be arrested. But most of the times you'll be advised, and then sometimes when we see you drinking at Lindador and you are a driver, we won't let you continue your journey. So this...
I'm so known to you, people will be watching you and watching your movement as soon as you arrive at Lindador.
People will actually be watching you from Accra, as you move from Accra through to Nkoko.
Once you move from Kumasi or any part of the country.
Once you move from Kumasi to Nkoko or any part of the country. But I say it's intensified when you are getting to Nkoko, because we know that is where the fun starts. So we, as I said, we are partnering with other stakeholders like the police, the DVLA. We're also doing it with some NGOs who have come on board. So like the Bloomberg Philanthropists, even corporate Ghana, Rana Motors has come on board and they are doing free tie checks at Lindador. So I would urge drivers this festive time when you are coming, when you get to Lindador, just locate where the runner stand is and they will check your ties for free.
Before you continue.
Yes, and advise you on what you should do on your tie, if it is safe or not safe.
All right, so we'll be wrapping up. Let me come to you, Reverend Cyril. Are these workable solutions?
Oh, sure. I mean, most of things, I can't say anything otherwise. I think last year they mandated me to be on that stretch, and I think last year...
And we are actually going with him.
Right.
So he should say it.
Actually, road safety has been my director, so he's my senior colleague.
So in summing up for me, are these workable solutions?
Yes, very, very workable. Last year we observed the same. And let me highlight one salient point, that before then it was not, but road safety ensured that it came up 3 years ago when the dual carriage came. It has completely lessened or reduced the crashes. And I think that if we can continue with the dual carriages, let's say from Suhum through to Apedja to Lindador, I think we can enjoy the festive season more. But also, if, like he's saying, if we have more of a police presence, I have always said that we are Ghanaians, and so let's reduce the road safety to the Ghanaian road safety. Every driver fears the police attack or fears the police. And so if we have more of police presence on our roads, I think I will have more or less very small victims to support. But to a very long, going forward, I want to believe that none of us here we are all vulnerable. Right. We are all vulnerable. We can crash at any time. Sure. So when we are driving, we should drive with ourselves, thinking about ourselves and considering who is on the road. Others. I also want to say that accident victim support, like you mentioned, there are people coming on board to support. Who is also coming on board to say, this is a wheelchair, this is a crutch, this is a Zimmer frame or arm sling for someone who needs it. There are about 15,000 injured victims. I can tell you every now and then, there are vulnerable victims who needs these things. And so I want to make the appeal. If any of the corporate institutions want to support, we also need funding. I must say it. Going to Kintampo and come back, it was not an easy journey. Right. And we were supported even though the National Road Safety did. I think that we should. Please, let me state this. Let's find justice. Just 30 seconds. Let's find justice. Right. For the 88 people or the over 100 people who crashed in one day, their families are still crying on me. Number two, those who got bent beyond recognition, they are also crying for justice. If you like, I'll bring just one here to come and air their story out there. And I want to beg the system, if we can be called upon, so that these people can be given anything at all, to help them forget about those who have died, who were breadwinners, and then they can live their life on. it would make Ghana to be a better place to live.
Thank you very much. And we have been looking at our roles and the carnage on our roles as we prepare to have the Easter weekend, which is coming up this Friday. And you've been listening to Henry Asumani, Deputy Director for Public Investment Development Unit at the National Road Safety Authority, and of course, Reverend Cyril Crab, President, Accident Victim Support Foundation, Ghana. This is a pause here on Joy News. We'll take a short break. We shall be back. Welcome to the pause here on Joy News. My name is Elton Brobe. Now, let's move to a very important subject. And last year, we had what we called the Potholes exhibition, where we put the spotlight on bad roads across the country and compelled government to fix them. Now, this time, it is not potholes, it's the Filth exhibition. What it's all about, you have been asking us. And joining me in the studio to tell us more about this campaign and what we seek to achieve is channel manager for Joy News, Koko Zupra, my boss, and he joins me in the studio. Koko, you're welcome.
Thank you.
So, Filth exhibition, who want to even exhibit Filth in the first place?
Well, the Filth is already exhibited. It's in our compounds, it's on our roads, it's at the landfill sites, it's nearly everywhere. It's in the gutters. It's even in the air. So, as our duty is, which is to be the public interest media platform in this country, we thought about it to mirror this back to ourselves and for everybody to see how low we have sunk, so that there's that clear understanding that we cannot continue on this trajectory any longer. We need to fix this. There are institutions, there are agencies, there are private organizations that are paid to ensure that the Filth is not at your doorstep. Or it's not on the road. Everywhere you go in the districts, in the metropolitan assemblies, and the municipalities, the Filth is there as if nobody cares about that. And the purpose for this campaign is to put the foot of the authorities and the individuals to the heat of accountability. Accountability first to yourself and also to the nation, that we collect the garbage and we dispose them off safely and according to the right processes. Now, so we've sent journalists around who are covering the Filth wherever they are. You realize that even in Ghana, sometimes we collect the Filth and we leave them, or we leave it just where we deposited it.
That's very true.
And sometimes even when we do cleanup campaigns, that's even worse.
After doing the cleaning up, we don't collect them. To the extent that at some point in Accra, I mean, the area is still there. I mean, this thing was so bad that the whole area became lavender hill because of the stench that emanated from the Filth.
Go to Agboboloshi. Go to the central markets all around this country. The heaps of garbage that are there, they are becoming mountains. Sometimes even close to hospitals, you find Filth. Now, so beyond the reporters who are going across the country to bring in these reports, we want to expand this so that you, the individual watching us, would also be part of this. Your part is to take pictures, take the videos, and do that citizen journalism that everybody can do because they hold a mobile phone. And take these pictures and send it to us.
So we've opened the door to everybody to be part of this storytelling.
Yes. So you take the picture, you take the video, and send it to any channel, multimedia journalist you know, and we'll also put out a number in our flyers that will tell you which specific channels to put these ones. And then the aggregate of these pictures and videos would be part of the storytelling. The good thing about this is that when you tell us where the Filth is, you must give us location. So you take a photo somewhere at Kumasi,
Central Market,
or Central Market, or at Agbugbulosi, or Atenga Junction, and you name it. That I took this picture here at Atenga Junction, and the filth is humongous. It has to be fixed or it has to be cleared. Then we will aggregate all of these and put them in proper storytelling, and let the people who are supposed to collect these filth pick them up.
And after the story is told, what next?
You know that we get results with stories. You know that this is the platform that the people that matter listen to. And the evidence will show that every time we have picked an agenda, people move in quickly to fix it. We have this trust and confidence in our platform that as we do this, day after day after day, the people who are paid to fix these will move in to fix it. Now, the rains are coming. So we want to do this such that it would help clean up the system, clear the drains and the trenches so that the rains will come and have their thoroughfare. So the reports we will do in July and in August about flooding, and that is as a result of silt and garbage in the wrong places, will be reduced.
All right, Goku, thank you very much for coming through. And there is more, because now let me bring back an episode of the Filth exhibition series by my colleague Masola Gbagba that focuses on the sanitation situation in the prime area nestled between the Accra's iconic landmark Independence Square, or the Blaster Square, and the burial place of former President John Evans at Mills Asunje Park, which has become a dumping ground. Can you believe that?
The Independence Square and the Independence Arch, a reminder of Ghana's freedom from her colonial masters. Right beside it is the piece of land which also serves as a reminder to some unpatriotic citizens of their freedom. Freedom to openly defecate and dump their garbage. No. It seems the authorities have found the perfect spot for a sit-down protest against waste management. Or perhaps it is the city authorities' way of saying, Happy Independence Day, enjoy the sights and smell. Right here, we confronted a man who had just finished defecating on this hallowed ground.
So why were you defecating?
Through the defecating is that low land, they've been shitting there for a long time. And it was like boiler, the rubbish dump. Some people are shitting in this water. But me, I know that some are using it to wash. I will not do that.
Why were you defecating?
Defecating here, if you are defecating here, those who are living around here, they will not call it to be a crime. It's a low land. And very soon, you will see people who bring this in. It was even deep down. Because of the rubbish dump, you see that it is filling.
Do you think it's bad, especially because this place is very close to the Independence Square, and just right behind the walls of the Independence Square, you are defecating? You don't think it's wrong?
I know that it's wrong, but here like this, it's very, very wrong. I know that here too is not right. In case they are to do here, clear here, no, it's not right. Yeah. But the way it was bush, if you are here, no one will call it to be a crime. Okay. That's why we are shitting there. So that's why we are defecating there. But here, if you see a person shitting here, you will know that that person is not normal.
For citizens who come here, it is to celebrate our nation's freedom. But what about our freedom from this mess? Perhaps city authorities want to give tourists and patrons a 360 independence celebration after watching the display and exhibition of our culture and all that we stand for at the Black Star Square. You can come here for a part 2, this time a filth exhibition. Chata Winfred Annan is a resident.
Immediately when they removed the presidency from the Usu Castle to the Jubilee House, that is fine. Immediately they could have brought the national security people to the Usu Castle so that they can keep this place clean. But now, see, if you see the rubbish and where the people go to toilet here, it's very bad. There's nothing going on here. They said nobody should come to the beach. And people are going to private all over. If you turn and look at where the rubbish are, you see everything. So for me, it's terrible. Where the cast Independence Square is and where they go to private, I mean, it's not good. And so they're supposed to do something about it. And so if you look at the Asomdwe Park and where the people are going to the private, my man, the big editors should do something about it.
Let's celebrate independence in every sense of the word, from freedom to cleanliness. Join us in our mission to turn this Filth exhibition into a showcase of cleanliness and pride. Maxwell Agbagba for Joy News.
So let's have a brief chat on this matter. And Patrick Apoya is a member of the coalition of NGOs in water and sanitation, CONIWAS, and a wash expert. Mr. Apoya, second time within a week, and this time we are talking about filth. I mean, when you see them scatter on our roads, in our communities, to what extent are we in danger of any kind of infection? If you can kindly unmute for me, sir.
So sorry. Thank you.
All right.
I think you have painted a very good picture of where we are. And it is a list that a country that is seeking to attract tourism to its borders will be in this kind of situation. Usually, you would think diseases like cholera and other waterborne diseases are associated with solid waste, with liquid waste. Yes, indeed, it is the feces and the improper management of it along the chain that actually is the main cause of waterborne diseases. But in the case of Ghana, everybody will agree that it is difficult to separate solid waste from liquid waste, because in any boiler that you see, there are actually wraps of fecal matter in them. And therefore, you can conclude that any heap of rubbish that you see, is likely to be contaminated by fecal matter. And that makes it faster to spread to people, to animals, than when they are separate. And that is the dangerous situation about Ghana's solid waste. Can you imagine, every day we produce more than 12,000 tons. 12,000 tons. A ton is 1,000 kilometers, 1,000 kilograms. And if you're producing 12,000 tons, it means you're producing 12 million kilograms of solid waste every day. Only 44% of this is collected and managed. More than half is not collected. And every day, more than half comes to pile up again. A time will come when we just sink in it. The only reason why we are not sinking in it now is most of the excess is actually washed into the oceans and into river bodies.
Right.
Now making Ghana a very big source of ocean pollution, as we already know.
Let me ask a final question before I let you go, Mr. Apoya. And I mean, it's quite interesting that the assemblies, almost the budget that goes to the assemblies, a large part of it goes to deal with sanitation issues. Yet we have uncollected, filth or uncollected refuse scattered across the country. What really is the issue here?
I think the issue is more of an accountability problem than a performance problem concerning with the assemblies. When you say a greater chunk of the money, yes, it goes into sanitation, but none of that, I mean, it's a tiny fraction of that money actually gets to the assembly. A lot of the payments are done at the national level.
Right, taken out source.
When the assembly receives its budget, they'll tell you 50% has been deducted for this, another 10% has been deducted for this. So the huge chunk that you are seeing in the assembly's budget, less than 10% of it actually gets to the assemblies. And if it is actually deducted to be paid for goods and services related to sanitation, what is the accountability arrangement for the assembly to actually agree that the money you have subtracted from my budget has actually gone into a service that my assembly is benefiting from? That is where we are actually failing. That there's a disconnect between the deductions that the national level effects on assembly budgets and the control that assembly has over what is actually done and it's not done in their jurisdictions.
Mr. Patrick Apoya, thank you very much. He's a member of CONUAS and WASH experts, and that is our Filth exhibition. I mean, you can be a citizen journalist. If you see anything that falls within what we are talking about, just take a video, a picture of it, and forward it to us. There are more stories on myjoyonline.com if you should visit our website. And we have President Akufo-Addo. You know, the tablet distribution has already started. President Akufo-Addo did that today, plus other compelling stories on myjoyonline.com. Well, that's our show this afternoon here on Joy News. My name is Elton Brobe. Up next is LTS. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, 3 to 5, for another exciting edition of the Pulse. Have a good evening.